The Senate will come to order. Good afternoon. The Secretary will call the roll.
Senator Brooks, Senator Buck, Senator Cannizzaro, Senator Dennis, Senator Doñate, Senator Dondero-Loop, Senator Gocochea, Senator Hammond, Senator Hansen, Senator Hardy, Senator Harris, Senator Kiekhaefer, Senator Lang, Senator Neal, Senator Orenshaw, Senator Pickard, Senator Ratty, Senator Scheibel, Senator Sievers-Gansert, Senator Settlemyre, Senator Spearman, Senator Settlemyre.
Senator Cannizzaro,
1 minute recess.
at the call of the chair. The Senate will come to order. We are on the first agenda. We are on the roll call, order business 1.
Senator Settlemyre.
Thank you. Let the record reflect there are 21 senators present. Please rise for the prayer and invocation by our very own Senator Dina Neal.
Oh, God. So many jokes attached to this moment. Okay, so, dear Father God, I just thank you for today. I thank you for the 120 days where we've been able to be in this building, and now we'll be able to leave it. I am honored that we have been able to increase our emotional intelligence by dealing with each other in these last few days, and that we have managed to still stand here and not get into any brawls or fights. I thank you, Lord God, that for your awesomeness and your ability to keep us safe and protect us and give us discretion and super guidance on how to manage the constituents of the state. And let's pray for this day and that we all have safe travels home.
Thank you. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. You may be seated. Order of business number 3, reading and approval of the journal. By previous order of the Senate, the reading of the journal is dispensed with, and the President and Secretary are authorized to make the necessary corrections and additions. Order of business number 4, reports of committee.
There are no reports at this time.
Thank you. Order of business number 6, messages from the Assembly.
Assembly Chamber, Carson City, May 30th, 2021. To the Honorable Senate, I have the honor to inform your Honor by the Assembly on this day passed a multitude of Senate bills that are listed on your agenda. Also, the Assembly has amended and passed as amended several Senate bills which are also listed on your agenda, and respectfully request your honorable body to concur in those Assembly amendments to those Senate bills. Also, I have the honor to inform your Honor by the Assembly on this day adopted as amended Assembly Concurrent Resolution Number 3. Also, I have the honor to inform your Honor by the Assembly on this day concurred in Senate amendments to Assembly Bills 40, 67, 460, 480. Signed, Carol Ayala Sala, Assistant Chief Clerk of the Assembly. End of messages.
Thank you. Order of business number 9, motions, resolutions, and notices. Senator Cannizzaro.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to take Assembly Bills 116, 126, 189, 196, 224, and 486 from their spot on general file and place them at the top of general file for this first agenda.
Thank you. You have heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senator Ratty? Not yet.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution Number 3, introduced by Assemblywoman Peters and Assemblyman Watts, requires the Legislative Commission to appoint an interim committee to conduct a study concerning environmental justice. End of resolution.
Thank you. Senator Ratty?
Thank you, President. I move to suspend Standing Rule 40 just one more time and refer ACR 3 to the Committee on Finance.
Thank you. You have heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
And that concludes order of business number 9.
Thank you. Order of business 13, third reading, general file.
Assembly Bill Number 116, introduced by Assemblywoman Wynn and et cetera, and Senators Cannizzaro, et cetera, revises provisions relating to traffic offenses. People of the State of Nevada represented in the Senate Assembly do enact as follows. Section 1 to Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
There are none. Section 81, subsection 3, end of bill.
Thank you. Remarks from the floor. Senator Harris.
Thank you, Madam President. Assembly Bill 116 provides that certain violations of traffic laws are civil infractions unless a criminal penalty is prescribed for the violation by a specific statute, defines certain traffic and vehicle violations as misdemeanors, and establishes procedures for civil infractions for traffic and related violations to be adjudicated. In addition, the bill appropriates from the State Highway Fund to the Office of Traffic Safety and the Department of Public Safety $310,000 to make system upgrades and provide training to personnel to carry out the provisions of this bill. Additionally, Madam President, it is well past time that we make the move from criminal traffic offenses to civil. There are plenty of people whose lives have been derailed by a missed court date on a simple speeding ticket, and so it's time to put an end to that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Further remarks, Senator Cannizzaro.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise in strong support of Assembly Bill 116 and was very pleased to not only work with the Assemblywoman who carried the bill, but also to co-sponsor it. I know we were both very interested in this topic after last session, and we weren't quite able to get there with a bill that didn't end up making it in the end. But as someone who, in my daily job deals with the criminal justice system, I think that there are ways in which that system is exceedingly ineffective to deal with certain situations. And I think that traffic tickets are something that squarely fall easily within that box. I know it's tough to try to figure out how to make that work, and there have been a lot of concerns raised about how do we get this moving and should we do it. For me, the answer has always been simple, that makes complete sense. We're going to charge people fines if they get a traffic ticket. I think there are still provisions in this bill that allow us to treat serious offenses appropriately, but for the most part, people get traffic tickets, and I think if any of my colleagues have not had a traffic ticket, I don't fall into that box. I have definitely had traffic tickets and was probably not a very good driver when I was much, much younger. And, those are things that happen, and we learn from those and learn how to be better drivers and better passengers. Not better passengers, better drivers on the roadways so that passengers can be safe and drivers can be safe and we can all get where we need to be when we need to be there. But for that solution to addressing traffic issues to be solved in the criminal justice system, unfortunately usually ends up in just additional jail time that people get credit for time served for. Don't overpay those fines and fees. And now they've taken up space in our detention facilities where it was unnecessary and have to suffer the ramifications for that for something that was not that I don't think rises to the level of criminal intent or malice or even neglectful wrongdoing by someone. So I rise in strong support. I urge my colleagues to vote in support of this bill. I think it makes huge improvements to our system, is one of the many ways that we can start to treat people fairly in that situation. And I'm hopeful that we will get a lot of support for this very, very good bill.
Thank you. Further remarks, Senator Hansen.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm 100% in support of the policy behind this, but I am going to vote no, simply to bring attention to the fact that several of my rural counties, the ability to implement this and the cost for them is substantial. So therefore, I'm going to oppose it, but this is the 5th session that I can think of where we've attempted to do this. So it's definitely a step in the right direction, but we need to keep in mind there's some very small counties with very limited budgets, and for them to be able to implement this is going to be very, very difficult. So I will vote no, but I definitely support the policy. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Senator Orenshaw.
Thank you, President. I too rise in support of Assembly Bill 116, and as my colleague from Senate District 14 just mentioned, there have been many attempts in prior sessions. I remember during the 2015 session when my colleague from Sparks was chair of the Assembly Judiciary Committee, and I was one of his committee members, and there was a lot of bipartisan support on that committee that year for us to try to go in this direction and make traffic tickets, speeding tickets, non-criminal, as many other states do. And just like has happened in past sessions, we just ran into a brick wall. It would be too expensive, it would be too difficult. So I commend the Assemblywoman, the sponsor of this bill, for building this coalition and overcoming those barriers. It's been a long time coming, and I think that this will be a positive change for people's lives. And I think that this does not belong in the criminal courts. I urge its support.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none, the secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the secretary will close the roll. The vote on Assembly Bill 116 is 20 in favor, 1 against. The bill, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed or the Assembly.
Assembly Bill number 126, introduced by Assemblyman Frierson, etc., revises provisions relating to elections of people of the state of Nevada represented in the Senate Assembly. Do enact as follows, Section 1 to Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
There are none. Section 53, subsection 2, end of bill.
Thank you. Remarks from the floor. Senator Dennis.
Thank you, Madam President. Assembly Bill 126, as amended, establishes the requirements and procedures for conducting a presidential preference primary election to be held by each major political party on the first Tuesday in February of each presidential election year. An exception is made for a party in cases where only one major party candidate has filed a declaration of candidacy. The measure establishes the procedure for a candidate to make a declaration of candidacy for the primary. The state must pay the cost of this election from the Reserve for Statutory Contingency account. The bill clarifies that minor political parties do not participate in the presidential preference primary. Major political party precinct meetings and party conventions must occur after the presidential preference primary. Further, county clerks must publish information about the presidential preference primary and are required to post a notice if a qualified candidate listed on the ballot has died. These officials must also determine the number of registered voters by precinct and district in their county and the political affiliation prior to the presidential primary election. Each county must provide a vote center for the day of the presidential preference primary, and a registered voter who indicate a major party affiliation may vote on any polling place in the county. The bill provides a time frame for early voting and allows for same-day voter registration. An Indian tribe is authorized to request a polling place for the purposes of this primary within an Indian colony or Indian reservation. Secretary of State and county clerks must follow procedures for compiling the results and making reports consistent with the processes they follow for primary and general elections. The bill is effective upon passage and approval for the purpose of adopting regulations and performing other preparatory administrative tasks, and on January 1st, 2022 for all other purposes.
Thank you. Further remarks, Senator Pickard.
Thank you, Madam President. I, too, brought or introduced a bill to move to a primary. I think that's a good idea. But in my preparations for doing so, I was told pretty consistently by my constituents that they did not like the idea of moving the primary up to the beginning of the year because it meant that we'd be campaigning, we'd be knocking on their doors, and we'd be disturbing them during the holidays because that was an overwhelming majority of people I talked to that said that they thought that that would be overly intrusive and they would resent that. I cannot support this measure. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none, the Secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the Secretary will close the roll. The vote on Assembly Bill 126 is 15 in favor, 6 against. The bill having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Order the Assembly.
Assembly Bill number 189, introduced by Assemblywoman Gorlow, et cetera, and Senators Canizaro, et cetera, expands Medicaid coverage for certain pregnant women. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1, Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
There are none. Section 3, this act becomes effective July 1, 2022. End of bill.
Thank you. Remarks from the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. As
Senator
amended.
Darrell-Loop.
As amended. Assembly Bill 189 requires the Director of the Department of Health and Human Services, to the extent authorized by federal law, to include the state plan for Medicaid, a provision that pregnant women who are determined by certain entities to qualify for Medicaid are presumably eligible for Medicaid for a prescribed period without applying for enrollment in Medicaid, and also prohibits a requirement that a pregnant woman who resides in Nevada and who's otherwise eligible for Medicaid must reside in the United States for a prescribed period of time before enrolling in Medicaid. As amended, Assembly Bill 189 appropriates general funds of $713,856 in fiscal year 2023 to the Division of Health Care Financing Policy and authorizes the expenditure of $1,208,691 from amounts not appropriated from the State General Fund or the State Highway Fund for projected increase in medical costs and associated system and actuarial costs for implementation. Additionally, the bill appropriates general funds of $150,900 in fiscal year 2023 to the Division of Welfare and Supportive Services and authorizes the expenditure of $1,358,100 from amounts not appropriated from the State General Fund or the State Highway Fund for the implementation of system changes and training necessary to implement provisions of legislation. Assembly Bill 189, as amended, is effective July 1st, 2022.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none, the Secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the Secretary will close the roll. The vote on Assembly Bill 189 is 21 in favor, 0 against. The bill having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Order the Assembly.
Assembly Bill number 196, introduced by Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson, requires courthouses to contain lactation rooms for the use by members of the public under certain circumstances. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
There are none. Section 3, subsection 2, end of bill.
Thank you. Remarks from the floor. Senator Don Darrell-Loop.
Thank you, Madam President. Assembly Bill 196, as amended, requires courthouses to contain lactation rooms or pods under certain circumstances for use by members of the public to express breast milk. The bill also makes general fund appropriations to the administrative courts of the courts of $50,000 for allocation as grants to district, municipal, and justice courts for the costs of creating lactation rooms or pods contingent upon managing money being provided by the court applying for such a grant from resources other than the appropriation. Provisions relating to the appropriation of money for grants are effective on July 1st, 2021. All other provisions are effective on July 1st, 2022.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none, the secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the secretary will close the roll. The vote on Assembly Bill 196 is 21 in favor, 0 against. Bill having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Order of the Assembly.
Assembly Bill number 224, introduced by Assemblywoman Duran, etc., provides for access to menstrual products in certain public schools. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows, Section 1 to Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
I have amendment number 850, proposed by the Senate Committee on Finance.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Severs-Gansert.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm not sure I have the document for the amendment, but I can speak to the amendment. So I waive the reading of Amendment 850 to Assembly Bill 224.
Thank you. If there are no objections, so ordered. Senator Severs-Gansert.
I move to adopt Senate Amendment 850 to Assembly Bill 224.
Thank you. You have heard the motion. Are there any remarks? Senator Severs-Gansert.
Did I dispense with the reading? Okay, so Senate Amendment number 852, Assembly Bill 224 as amended, eliminates Section 3.7, which directs the Legislative Commission to appoint a committee to conduct an interim study concerning access to menstrual products in middle schools, junior high schools, and high schools, and the effects of requiring 25% of certain public schools to provide menstrual products at no cost to pupils.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Are there any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Thank you. Assembly Bill 224, ready for final action.
Assembly Bill number 224, introduced by Assemblywoman Duran, etc., provides for access to menstrual products in certain public schools. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows, Section 1 through Section 6, end of bill.
Thank you. Remarks? Senator Severs-Gansert.
Thank you, Madam President. Assembly Bill 224, as amended, requires 25% of certain public schools to provide menstrual products at no cost to pupils in women's restrooms at certain middle schools, junior high schools, and high schools on or before January 1st, 2022. The bill, as amended, further requires the Board of Trustees of each district and the governing bodies of certain charter schools in the state to provide a report that includes certain information related to menstrual products, ensure that menstrual products are provided at no cost to pupils in the bathrooms of certain public schools, develop a plan to address access to menstrual products, and submit a report on the plan to the Director of the Legislative Council Bureau for transmittal to the Legislature in each odd-numbered year. Assembly Bill 224, as amended, is effective July 1st, 2021. The idea for this bill was brought forward by a young woman who is a constituent of mine who happens to be with us today in the balcony, Samantha Glover. She is a junior at the Davidson Academy and has brought this legislation, but also started her own nonprofit called Red Equity to help make sure that women have menstrual products in, again, middle schools and high schools. And she's done an amazing job. She actually has it in, I think it's 4 states and also Washington, D.C., so 5 different places. And so she has really done an amazing job, and I know she'll continue to do so. So I urge your support.
Thank you, and thank you, Samantha Glover, for bringing this. We really appreciate you being very proactive. Good work. All right. Further remarks? All right. Hearing none, the secretary will open the roll. All right. Looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right. The secretary will close the roll. You see that, Samantha? Okay. There's 21 in favor. Thank you, Samantha. 0 against. The bill having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Order of the Assembly.
Senate Bill number 486, introduced by Senate Committee on Ways and Means, establishes provisions relating to property of the people of the state of Nevada represented in the Senate Assembly to enact as follows. Section 1 to Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
There are none. Section 9, subsection 3 under the bill.
Thank you. Remarks from the floor. Senator Dennis. Nope. Senator Ratty.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to suspend the reading on the amendment.
I don't think there's an amendment. I think you can just make remarks from the floor if you'd like. Assembly Bill 486?
1 minute recess, please.
Sure. At the call of the chair. We are back from recess. We are on the first agenda. We are on Order of Business 13. We are on Assembly Bill 486. Remarks from the floor. Senator Ratty.
Thank you, Madam President. I thought I'd just freak out a whole bunch of people by introducing another amendment to that particular bill. Sorry. So, Assembly Bill 486, as amended, establishes provisions relating to property. Assembly Bill 486 establishes procedures relating to certain claims for wrongful eviction and provides that a tenant who has defaulted in the payment of rent can claim as an affirmative defense in a summary eviction proceeding that the tenant has a pending application for rental assistance, the landlord has refused to participate in the rental assistance application process, or the landlord has refused to accept rental assistance provided on behalf of the tenant. Additionally, the bill requires the court to stay the proceedings for evictions until the application for rental assistance is either granted or denied. The bill as amended also provides that if a landlord accepted rental assistance on behalf of a tenant who has defaulted in the payment of rent and then proceeded to evict the tenant for any reason that existed during the period of default for which the landlord has been paid rental assistance, the court may impose a civil penalty and order the landlord to pay costs and attorney fees. Further, the bill requires an electronic form to be completed by a landlord who wishes to obtain rental assistance on behalf of a tenant who has defaulted in the payment of rent and provides that an eligible landlord may receive rental assistance without the application of the tenant if the eligible landlord agrees to certain conditions. The bill as amended provides that federal funding of $5 million that is authorized for rental assistance shall be dispersed to eligible landlords on behalf of tenants for rental assistance. Finally, the bill as amended provides for landlord compensation of 100% of delinquent rent. Assembly Bill 486, as amended, becomes effective upon passage and approval with Sections 1 to 3.5 inclusive and Sections 5 and 6 expiring by limitation on June 5th, 2023, and Section 4 expiring by limitation on the earlier of A, the date that the Supreme Court determines that the programs of alternative dispute resolution established by the Supreme Court or district or justice courts do not have sufficient funds to administer the programs, or B, by June 5th, 2023. That is by far the most interesting when it takes effect I have ever read. And I appreciate everybody's hard work on this. Want to give a shout out to Chairman Yeager in the other house for his good work on this, and to the governor's office, to the treasurer's office, and everywhere in between. Thank you for everyone on your hard work.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none, the secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the secretary will close the roll. The vote on Assembly Bill 486 is 17 in favor, 4 against. The bill having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Order the Assembly. 1 minute recess at the call of the chair. The Senate will come to order. We are on the first agenda. We are on Order of Business 13. Senator Cannizzaro.
Thank you, Madam President. May we go to order of business number 6, messages from the Assembly?
Yeah, order of business 6, messages from the Assembly.
Assembly Chamber, Carson City, May 30th, 2021, to the Honorable Senate. Have the honor to inform Your Honor by the Assembly on this day appointed Assemblyman Yeager, Wynn, and Krasner as a conference committee on Assembly Bill 440 and has appointed Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson, Carlton, and Matthews as a conference committee on Assembly Bill 368. Signed, Carol Ayala Sala, Assistant Chief Clerk of the Assembly. End of messages.
Thank you. We're going to take a short recess at the call of the chair. Maybe not so short. Thank you. The Senate will come to order. We are on the first agenda. We are on Order Business 9. Senator Canizaro.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to take Assembly Bills 220, 247, 256, 262, 357, 383, 411, 416, 432, 445, and 489 from their place on general file, place them at the top of the general file for this first agenda.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
That concludes order of business number 9.
Thank you. Order of Business 13, General File, third reading.
Assembly Bill number 220, introduced by Assemblyman Frierson, et cetera, establishes provisions relating to use of mobile devices by peace officers. The people of the state of Nevada represented in the Senate Assembly do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
There are none. Section 1, subsection 3, end of bill.
Thank you. Remarks from the floor. Senator Neal.
Madam President, Assembly Bill 220 requires each law enforcement agency to adopt a written policy establishing standards of conduct for the use of a mobile device issued by a law enforcement agency to any peace officer employed by the agency and sets forth requirements relating to the policy. It's effective October 1, 2021.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right. Hearing none, the secretary will open the roll. All right. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the secretary will close the roll. The vote on Assembly Bill 220 is 21 in favor, 0 against. The bill having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Order the Assembly.
Assembly Bill number 247, introduced by Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson, revises provisions relating to Western Regional Education Compact. The people of the state of Nevada represented in the Senate Assembly do enact as follows. Section 1 to Section 1.
Senator Canizaro?
No.
Okay. Yes. Are there any amendments to the bill?
There are none. Section 29, this act becomes effective July 1, 2021. End of bill.
Thank you. Remarks from the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. May I get a 1-minute recess?
Yes, 1 minute recess at the call of the chair. We are back from our break. We are on the first agenda. We are on Order of Business 13. We are on Assembly Bill 247. Remarks from the floor, Senator Dennis.
Thank you, Madam President. Assembly Bill 247 revises various provisions relating to the Western Regional Education Compact. Among other things, the bill, 1, changes the name of the office of the Western Regional Education Compact within the Office of the Governor to the Nevada Office of the Western Interstate Commission for Higher Education. 2, revises provisions to require that any financial support provided to a WICHE participant be provided in the form of a stipend that the participant is not required to repay unless he or she does not meet certain requirements after graduation. 3, deletes certain provisions concerning interest rates, payback provisions, and penalties, and requires that the 3 Nevada State Commissioners acting jointly adopt regulations governing these matters. And 4, makes various other administrative and conforming changes. The bill is effective July 1st, 2021.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none, the Secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the Secretary will close the roll. The vote on Assembly Bill 247 is 21 in favor, 0 against. Bill having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Order of the Assembly.
Assembly Bill number 256, introduced by Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong, etc., provides for Medicaid coverage for doula services. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 to Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
There are none. Section 5, subsection 2, end of bill.
Thank you. Remarks from the floor. Senator Ratty.
Thank you, Madam President. Assembly Bill 256, as amended, requires a doula who desires to receive reimbursement through the Medicaid program for the provision of doula services to a Medicaid recipient to enroll with the Division of Healthcare Financing and Policy of the Department of Health and Human Services. A doula must show proof that he or she possesses the required training and qualifications by the division. The bill also requires an enrolled doula to report the suspected abuse, neglect, exploitation, isolation, or abandonment of older or vulnerable persons, or the suspected abuse or neglect of a child. The department must apply for a waiver of federal Medicaid requirements or request to amend the state plan to receive federal funding to provide coverage of doula services. The director of the department must include in the state plan of Medicaid a requirement that the state pays certain costs for doula services provided to Medicaid recipients to the extent authorized by federal law. The bill is effective upon passage and approval for the purpose of adopting any regulations and performing any other necessary preparatory administrative tasks on January 1st, 2022 for all other purposes.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none, the Secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the Secretary will close the roll. The vote on Assembly Bill 256 is 21 in favor, 0 against. Bill having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Order of the Assembly.
Assembly Bill number 262, introduced by Assemblywoman Anderson, etc., Senators Brooks and Lang, revised the provision governing education of the people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 to Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
There are none. Section 2, this act becomes effective July 1, 2021, end of bill.
Thank you. Remarks from the floor. Senator Buck.
Thank you, Madam President. Assembly Bill 262 requires the Board of Regents to grant a waiver of registration fees, laboratory fees, and other mandatory fees assessed against students who meet certain conditions, are members of a federally recognized Indian tribe or nation, all or part of which is located within the boundaries of the state, or who are certified as being a descendant or an enrolled member of the tribe or nation, all or part of which is located within the boundaries of the state regardless of membership status. Furthermore, AB 262 requires the Board of Regents to submit a report each year to the legislature concerning the number of eligible students and the funding available for such a waiver. The bill is effective on July 1st, 2021.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none, the Secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the Secretary will close the roll. The vote on Assembly Bill 262 is 21 in favor, 0 against. The bill having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Order of the Assembly.
Assembly Bill number 357, introduced by Assemblyman Frierson, revises provisions relating to consumer protection of the people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 to Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
There are none. Section 9, this act becomes effective July 1, 2021, into bill.
Thank you. Remarks from the floor. Senator Dondero Loop.
Thank you, Madam President. Assembly Bill 357 creates the Consumer Protection Legal Account in the Office of the Attorney General and the Consumer Protection Administrative Account in the Bureau of Consumer Protection in the Office of the Attorney General. In addition to other provisions, the bill allocates money in the Consumer Protection Legal Account to legal aid organizations and certain percentages to be used for consumer protection and efforts to prevent fraud, and requires the deposit of certain money from settlements and litigation into the Consumer Protection Administrative Account, and provides that any balance of more than $500,000 in the account at the end of the fiscal year, at the end of the calendar year, or at any other time at the discretion of the consumer's advocate reverts to the Consumer Protection Legal Account. Finally, the bill reallocates money collected in certain actions brought by the Attorney General involving deceptive trade practices or unfair trade practices, and provides the money must be deposited in the Consumer Protection Administrative Account rather than the State General Fund or the Attorney General Special Fund. This bill is effective July 1st, 2021.
Thank you for the remarks. All right, hearing none, the secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the secretary will close the roll. The vote on Assembly Bill 357 is 21 in favor, 0 against. The bill, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Order the Assembly.
Assembly Bill number 383, introduced by Assemblyman Watts, etc., establishes provisions governing the energy efficiency of certain appliances. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
There are none. Section 39, this act becomes effective July 1, 2021. End of bill.
Thank you. Remarks from the floor. Senator Spearman.
Thank you, Madam President. Assembly Bill 383 sets minimum standards for energy efficiency for certain appliances and requires the Director of the Office of Energy within the Office of the Governor to adopt regulations that meet or exceed those minimum standards. The measure prohibits the sale, lease, rental, or installation of a new appliance that does not meet these efficiency standards after certain dates and excludes certain appliances from these requirements. Implementation of the standards and any subsequent changes shall not take effect for a minimum of 365 days after adoption. Prior to making an appliance available for lease, rent, or sale, a manufacturer must submit to the Director a certification that the appliance complies with the adopted minimum standard and includes a label identifying the appliance as certified. The bill authorizes the Director to investigate complaints of violations and the Attorney General to authorize it to file civil action seeking civil penalties for the first offense. A warning must be issued. The measure exempts from the requirements of this bill appliances that are manufactured or sold at wholesale in the state for final retail sale outside of the state, appliances installed in mobile homes or manufactured homes at the time of construction, and appliance designed expressly for use in recreational vehicles. The bill is effective on July 1, 2021.
Thank you. Further remarks. Senator Pickard.
Thank you, Madam President. I voted this out of committee with reservations because while I like the idea of increasing our efficiency, particularly in commercial equipment, I wasn't sure that I had enough information. And the more I dug, the more I realized that not only does the Energy Star program that is well known and very successful in the country, throughout the country, have a really good track record of moving that bar up. But, for example, most of our, or in fact, all of our refrigerators or the components are made in China. And so we don't control much of what happens. And so by limiting what we allow to be sold in the state is really going to hurt the supply chain anyway. This moves it from a voluntary program to one that can be enforced by civil penalties. And yet there's no enforcement mechanism by the Governor's Office of Energy to do that. They turn it over to the AG's office, who should be working on much more important things. So after the, looking at this and looking at what we're really trying to accomplish here, this bill isn't going to do it. And at the end of the day, this is bad policy. It's going to hurt our supply chain. It's going to hurt those that are trying to sell products in the state of Nevada.
Thank you. Further remarks. All right, hearing none, the secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the secretary will close the roll. The vote on Assembly Bill 383 is 12 in favor, 9 against. The bill having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Order the Assembly.
Assembly Bill number 411, introduced by Assembly Committee on Growth and Infrastructure, makes change to provisions governing fuel. People's State of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows, Section 1 to Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
There are none. Section 2, subsection 2, end of bill.
Thank you. Remarks from the floor. Senator Danyate.
Thank you, Madam President. Assembly Bill 411 requires that the regulations adopted by the State Board of Agriculture of the State Department of Agriculture allow the sale of motor vehicle fuel containing not more than 15% of ethanol by volume.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none, the secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the secretary will close the roll. The vote on Assembly Bill 411 is 21 in favor, 0 against. The bill having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Order the Assembly.
Assembly Bill number 416, introduced by Assembly Committee on Education, directs the legislative auditor to conduct an audit of the Nevada system of higher education. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows, Section 1 to Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
There are none. Section 3 of this act becomes effective July 1, 2021, into bill.
Thank you. Remarks from the floor.
Thank you, Madam President.
Senator
Assembly Bill 416, as amended, requires the legislative auditor to conduct a performance audit during the 2021-23 biennium on the Nevada system of higher education for fiscal years 2019 through 2022. Assembly Bill 416 also makes an appropriation of $80,250 in fiscal year 2022 and $128,750 in fiscal year 2023 from the general fund for the purposes of carrying out the act. Assembly Bill 416 is effective July 1st, 2021.
Thank you. Further remarks? Senator Hansen.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm in strong support of AB 416. In fact, I had a similar bill in the 2017 session, which the governor blocked. But I absolutely am hopeful that we don't even know how much we spend in total and how it's all being spent in Nevada system of higher education. So thankfully, this bill, I hope, will allow future legislators to be able to really get a good picture of how that financial package is being spent. So delighted to see the bill, and I encourage everyone to vote for it. It's a great idea. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Senator Pickard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was going to make very similar comments. I'm in support of this. I think it would be good. I wish we could extend this to our K through 12 school districts as well, because we have no clue how most of their money is spent. So I support this measure and urge its passage. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none, the secretary will open the roll. All right. Okay. All right, then. Looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the secretary will close the roll. The vote on Assembly Bill 416 is 21 in favor, 0 against. Bill having received a constitutional majority, it's declared passed. Order the Assembly.
Then Bill number 432, introduced by Assembly Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections, revises provisions relating to elections. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows, Section 1 to Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
There are none. Section 36, subsection 3, end of bill.
Thank you. Remarks from the floor. Senator Cannizzaro.
Thank you, Madam President. Assembly Bill 432, as amended, expands automatic voter registration requirements to certain executive branch agencies. The measure specifies that these agencies include the Department of Motor Vehicles, the Department of Health and Human Services, any agencies within DHHS processing applications for Medicaid, the Silver State Health Insurance Exchange, and any other state or tribal agency meeting certain requirements and as provided by the governor. If an application does not provide sufficient information to determine that the person is qualified to vote, the agency is prohibited from using the system to transmit the application, although the person may still ask to apply. The Secretary of State, the county clerks, and the agencies designated as automatic voter registration agencies are required to cooperate in the process of establishing an electronic transmittal system for the voter registration information. The bill sets forth the information to be collected by the automatic voter registration system for the transmittal using the system. Further, the measure establishes the actions that must be taken by the county clerk to process the information, including steps to contact the applicant if the information is incomplete. If the county clerk determines the applicant is an eligible voter, the bill requires the person be deemed a registered voter, and the county clerk is required to send certain information to the individual. County clerks are prohibited from rejecting a voter registration application from an agency solely because it does not contain the applicant's signature. The bill sets forth the process for obtaining the person's signature. Automatic voter registration agencies must comply with the National Voter Registration Act. The bill includes general fund appropriations of $48,233 to the Department of Motor Vehicles for automatic voter registration, programming hours, and general fund appropriations of $736,391 in fiscal year 2022 and $346,439 in fiscal year 2023 to the Secretary of State for 2 new positions and contract personnel for the implementation and maintenance of the automatic voter registration system. This bill is effective upon passage and approval for the purpose of adopting regulations and performing any other preparatory administrative tasks, and on January 1st, 2024 for all other purposes.
Thank you for the remarks. Senator Settlemeyer.
Thank you, Madam President. I appreciate the concept of trying to get everyone registered to vote. We've done that now at the DMV. There were some serious concerns about the fact that we currently have a bottom-up system versus a top-down, and that there was discussion about trying to delay this in order to get the new computer system within the Secretary of State's office to facilitate this. And many of the local governments had indicated it was an unfunded mandate that was problematic. And in that respect, I also have some concerns with just allowing the governor to be the one who designates which additional state agencies and tribal agencies will be participating in this. I think that should be a decision made by more than just one person. In that respect, I oppose Assembly Bill 432.
Thank you for the remarks. Senator Severs-Gansert.
Thank you, Madam President. I also want to point out part of the issue with the bill is we don't have the top down, but the implementation date is further out, and so there was actually a $5 million fiscal bill from the Silver State Health Exchange that starts in the next biennium. So we're passing legislation that we know is going to have a huge impact, but because it doesn't have a fiscal impact right now, we're sort of giving a pass on it instead of really analyzing how we can best do it to make sure that we can get people appropriately registered and have the funds to do it. Thank you.
Thank you for the remarks. All right, hearing none, the Secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the Secretary will close the roll. The vote on Assembly Bill 432 is 12 in favor, 9 against. The bill, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Order the Assembly.
Assembly Bill number 445, introduced by Assembly Committee on Growth and Infrastructure, revises provisions relating to financial administration. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
There are none. Section 34, subsection 5, end of bill.
Thank you. Remarks from the floor. Senator Kiefer.
Thank you, Madam President. Assembly Bill 445, as amended, extends an existing grant matching pilot program until June 30th, 2022. It creates the Nevada Grant Matching Program that would serve the same purpose as the Grant Matching Fund pilot program effective July 1st, 2022 with an annual transfer of $1 million from the Abandoned Property Trust account, which is also known as unclaimed property, that currently goes to the general fund. Transfers from the Office of Grant Procurement, Coordination, and Management from the Department of Administration to the Office of the Governor on July 1st, 2022, and renames the office as the Office of Federal Assistance and requires the director to develop a state plan for maximizing federal assistance. And the bill expands the membership of the Nevada Advisory Council on Federal Assistance. The bill as amended also includes general fund appropriations of $89,537 in fiscal year 22 and $115,772 in fiscal year 23 to the Office of the Comptroller for personnel to assist with the single audit and the CMIA report completion as the state brings in additional federal funding. And it appropriates $279,979 in fiscal year 22 to the Office of Grant Procurement, Coordination, and Management and $1,091,010 in fiscal year 23 to the Office of Federal Assistance for Personnel, Operating, and Grants Management Systems cost. Provisions that extend the existing grant matching pilot program until June 30th, 2022 are effective upon P&A. All other provisions are effective upon passage and approval for the purposes of adopting regulations and performing preparatory administrative tasks, and on July 1st, 2022 for all other purposes. And Madam President, this bill should get us more federal money. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none, the secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the secretary will close the roll. The vote on Assembly Bill 445 is 21 in favor, 0 against. The bill, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Order the Assembly.
Assembly Bill number 489, introduced by Senate Committee on Ways and Means, makes appropriation to the legislative fund for capital improvement projects, one-time building maintenance, information technology purchases, and dues for national and regional organizations. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
There are none. Section 3 of this act becomes effective upon passage and approval. End of bill.
Thank you. Remarks from the floor. Senator Gokachia.
Thank you, Madam President. Assembly Bill 489 appropriates $11.4 million in general funds to the Legislative Fund for Capital Improvement Projects. Additionally, Assembly Bill 489 appropriates $4.6 million in general funds to the Legislative Fund for Computer Hardware, Legislative Voting System Modernization, Facility Security System Upgrade, broadcast infrastructure upgrade, one-time building maintenance, and payment of dues to national organizations. Assembly Bill 489 is effective on passage and approval. This building's been here over 25 years since the last major retrofit and needs some help. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none, the secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the secretary will close the roll. The vote on Assembly Bill 489 is 21 in favor, 0 against. The bill, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Order the Assembly. Senator Canizaro.
Thank you, Madam President. I would move to take Senate Bill 463 and the remaining Assembly bills on general file and place them on general file for our next agenda this legislative day.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Brief recess at the call of the chair. All right, guys, it's actually Senate Bill 463 and the rest of the Assembly bills. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
That concludes order of business number 9 and order of business number 13 on the first agenda.
Thank you. Order of business 16, remarks from the floor. The following bills are ready to be immediately transmitted to the Assembly. Assembly Bills number 116, 224, 486. Once these bills have been transmitted to the Assembly, the Senate no longer has the ability to take any further action. Remarks from the floor. Senator Pickard.
Thank you, Madam President. And I just wanted to express how excited I am to have all of our front desk people here today. I think this is the first time all session we've seen them all, and it's wonderful to have you here. So just wanted to put that on the record. It's great to have you in the room.
Thank you. It is great. They work very hard. They stay after you guys and come before you guys. Further remarks? Senator Ratty. Senator Canizaro.
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to take, while we have a bit of time early in the day today, I wanted to take some time to not only express what is very sincere gratitude, but also a tremendous amount of respect to honor someone who I think is the sole reason that this body is able to run the way that it runs, and someone who I know that I'm not really sure how we're all going to function without, and I mean that quite literally, in every sense of that sentiment possible. But someone who I have enjoyed working with and who we will miss immensely. I'm just not sure the Senate will be the same without her, but I wanted to take some time to just honor and acknowledge the really great work of our Secretary of the Senate, Claire Clift. So, Madam President, obviously over the past week, we have certainly recognized the tremendous dedication and work that of all of our elected colleagues during our Senate Hall of Fame induction ceremony last Monday. And just yesterday, we did recognize the wonderful service of our term-limited senators as well. However, now is the time that we wanted to take to recognize a person who, much to our sadness, but perhaps to her joy, for plenty of time to renovate and travel across the United States, and I certainly hope that you enjoy the whole trip, will be retiring in the coming months. After decades of dedicated service to the Nevada State Senate, our talented and unflappable Secretary of the Senate, Claire Clift, will be closing out a lengthy and exceptional career. For those of you who do not know, Claire has deep family roots in northern Nevada and continued a long tradition of public service. Born in Reno and raised primarily in Carson City, Claire attended St. Teresa of Avila Catholic Church and graduated from Carson High School. With dreams of becoming a farmer, she studied agriculture at Western Nevada Community College and the University of Nevada, Reno. But with no farmland to cultivate, Claire instead cultivated her love of the outdoors while working for several years for the United States Forest Service in the Salmon National Forest in central Idaho. She eventually made her way back to us here in Carson City, where she was hired by the Senate as a committee secretary for the Senate Committee on Natural Resources for both the 1987 and 1989 legislative sessions. She and husband Jim then left for the Pacific Northwest to live in his hometown near Spokane, Washington. But after 8 years, she longed for the sunny and drier climate of home, and they returned to Carson City just in time to be hired as the Senate's brand new media clerk before the 1997 legislative session. In this role, she served as the Senate's liaison for information systems and helped with the development of new and improved computer programs and technology in the newly renovated legislative building. Upon the retirement of the former Secretary of the Senate, Jan Thomas, in early 2000, Claire was selected as the Secretary of the Senate. It is no surprise Claire ended up so capably serving the state of Nevada and the Nevada Legislature. Indeed, public service was second nature to her. Let us just say it is in her blood. Claire's father was a well-respected educator and coach, and her mother was a longtime Carson City theater and arts activist, columnist, and state employee. With northern Nevada roots dating back to the 1850s, her family was among the earliest settlers in the area. Her great-great-grandfather, Daniel Clark Simpson, became a rancher in Wellington and later served in the Nevada Legislature, representing Eureka County. Another great-great-grandfather, William Harris, was a miner in Dayton area and helped build the famous Sutro Tunnel. Her grandfather, Hugo Quilici, which I probably mispronounced, and I apologize, served as the mayor of Reno. Yep, totally messed that up. Served as the mayor of Reno in 1960s. Her great-uncle, Forrest Lovelock, served in the state senate, and her uncle, Chester Swope, was a long-term assemblyman and state senator and is represented in the Senate Hall of Fame. Claire's ascension to the Secretary of the Senate, while not an elected position, continues this long tradition of family service in the Nevada Legislature. She is recognized nationally, and I will add, is one of the most astute secretaries of the Senate that I think I have met, and parliamentarian experts that I think we will ever see, nationally as an expert in parliamentary procedure, serving for many years on both the 2010 and 2020 Mason's Manual Commission. Moreover, she is actively involved in the American Society of Legislative Clerks and Secretaries, which includes serving on its executive committee, the Program Development Committee, the International Communication and Development Committee, and vice chairing the ASLCS Bylaws and Standing Orders Committee. Claire's knowledge of the legislative process is unmatched, and she oversees the activities of the Senate and front desk operations with poise, professionalism, and confidence. Claire is known for running a tight ship, and she is well respected by all who know and work with her. When we arrive here in the Senate on the first Monday in February, sometimes fresh off very grueling political campaigns and frantic pre-session bill negotiations, Claire has everything in order and knows just what to say and do and makes us all feel comfortable. Moreover, she has a fully trained team of legislative assistants, committee managers, and secretaries, proofreaders, sergeant-at-arms personnel, and front desk staff all ready to hit the ground running on the first day of session. Claire has tremendous reverence for the institution of the Nevada Senate and its traditions. She is a well-respected and compassionate leader with a quick wit, great sense of humor, and kind smile. Claire, as you embark on your next journey, please know that your influence on all of us as legislators, your wonderful staff, and the Nevada Legislature will always be remembered. Please join me in celebrating Claire's many personal and professional accomplishments and in expressing our heartfelt appreciation for her faithful service and tireless efforts on behalf of the Nevada Legislature. Claire, without you, we truly would not know or be able to do our jobs, and we are very better for having known you. We wish you and your family the absolute very best in all of your future endeavors, and thank you so much for your very dedicated service to the state of Nevada.
Senator Settlemeyer.
Thank you, Madam President. I couldn't let it go by. I know that she doesn't necessarily care for a lot of attention, but it would be wrong to not describe to everybody what you're about ready to lose. Me and the people who were on the board a couple days ago, unfortunately, had the misfortune of not having you around for a session. That was detrimental to the whole institution, at least in my opinion. You've brought a level of decorum to this institution, the dignity, the respect. You just can't even be underestimated how much you've helped provide. I always jokingly refer to it occasionally when you call me to your office that I'm getting called to the principal's room, because in many respects I feel that way. Because clearly, if I'm being called, something has gone awry. That being said, obviously your grasp of Masons is beyond belief. Thank you so much for guiding, correcting us, and for everybody at the front staff for helping us do our jobs and actually make us look good and help the state survive. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Harris.
Thank you, Madam President. I have been very clear that I just don't know if I can serve the Senate without Claire Clift. I think we all agree that she keeps the ship running. And when I tell folks as a state senator I have one boss, those who are not in the know think it's the majority leader. Those who are in the know I'm referring to Claire Clift. I think we're all better off for it, so thank you for your service. I don't envy the poor soul who's going to have to try and fill those shoes. I know I am a better legislator for having been trained and raised under your wings, so thank you, and we wish you the best of luck.
Senator Scheibel.
Thank you, Madam President. As the majority leader was giving her remarks, that was the first time that I learned that Claire Clift came to the legislature as a secretary for the Natural Resources Committee. And we also learned a few days ago that Senator David Parks chaired the Natural Resources Committee. And so I'm very sure that all of the great leaders of the Nevada State Senate start in natural resources. And Claire is certainly no exception. And like many of my colleagues, I have not known the Senate without Claire Clift. And frankly, I don't want to come back without Claire, but the only reason I'm willing to do it is because I think basically Claire is telling me to. So, like many things, her wisdom exceeds mine, and her judgment is unmatched and impeccable. So I guess if she says it's time to go, we will be okay without her, even though we will miss you very dearly, not just because you keep the Senate running, but also because you are such a warm and welcoming presence in this building. You are always there when we need you. You answer our calls at all hours of the day and night and provide answers to some very interesting questions, and we will miss that, and we will miss you. So thank you.
Thank you. Senator Dennis.
Thank you, Madam President. I appreciate the opportunity. I agree with all the words that have been said. We're going to miss you, Claire. I've been a student of parliamentary procedure for many years. It started back when I started in PTA, and to have someone that has the knowledge to make sure that we're running, that's important to me, and you've done a great job there. And as the Senate President Pro Tem, you have always kept me doing what I need to do, and because I have to step in whenever, and don't always get a lot of time to prepare. So everything that you've done to help me look good when I have to function in that position, I appreciate, and I'm excited for you. I know you've looked forward to retirement, and I'm excited to hear the great things that you're going to be doing as you do that, and we're really going to miss you. Thank you for all the work that you've done.
Thank you. Senator Orenshaw.
Thank you, President and Secretary. It's been great getting to work with you these 2 sessions that I've been lucky enough to be here in this chamber, and I've been always impressed by how much you care about the decorum, the dignity of this body, and also trying to make sure that that we're efficient and we get our work done. And I know it's not easy, especially when you get new folks like me coming in, and we're not so good on parliamentary procedure, and you've got to help us. But I think that will be missed a lot. Wish you a lot of happiness, and hope you'd reconsider.
Senator Don Darrell Lute.
Thank you, Madam President. And Secretary, I knew of Ms. Clift before I knew Ms. Clift because my sister-in-law worked with her here in the building, and I always knew that your expertise, your professionalism, your thoroughness, your urgency but calmness preceded me knowing you, and I know now all those things were absolutely spot on. The friendship that you've shown all of us while leading the way, and certainly I'm sure after hearing the history that our relatives were friends. And I just want you to know that you look really great considering all the occasional heart attacks that I know that you have had with all of us. So you will be missed, but our sadness will yield to your happiness. And I'm with my colleague. We don't concur. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Neal.
Thank you, Madam President. So, when I found out you were leaving, I was super sad because I think sometimes God sets you up in situations where you transition into familiar territory. And when you called me when I first won, and then you talked about your relationship to my father who served here and you were here, it gave me comfort to be able to walk into a building where there was familiarity. And you extended yourself to me. And so I'm surprised to find out that you're leaving as I'm arriving. And I've had such a very interesting session, to say the least. And so I'm hoping that I can still reach out to you and still talk about Mason manuals, and because you were kind of my lifeline to that. So just thank you for welcoming me and being a part of my life and calling me early on to welcome me as a senator, because when you first called me that title, I don't think I was ready for it. And so thank you.
Senator Ratty.
Thank you, President. Why do I always have to follow Senator Neal's heartfelt remarks every time? So it's just a heartfelt thank you. Last session, I got dropped into a role that is all about details and rules, and that is not necessarily my strongest suit. And without Claire Clift there with enormous patience, regular check-ins, the willingness to say when we're off base and say, no, the way you are thinking about this is not right, but to say it in a gentle way that helps us to continue to move forward, unparalleled, and no question that you have been a tremendous asset to the Senate, to the state of Nevada, and we've gotten a lot done because of you. I hope you saw a little improvement over the 2 sessions, and thank you, just thank you.
Senator Kiefer.
Thank you, Madam President. We talk a lot about institutional knowledge in this building and the effect of term limits and the loss of the institutional knowledge that we've seen in recent years. But, you know, Claire, you are the institution. Your continued focus on the history of this chamber, the respect that you show it and show us, whether we deserve it or not sometimes, is what it's all about. And I have always felt that you treated me with the amount of respect that was due, whether I was in the majority or the minority. And that says a lot about your respect for the institution. And if we can keep that going, then we're going to be just fine. And you've led by example on that front, and I thank you for it.
Senator Spearman.
Thank you, Madam President. I didn't have a long time to work with Claire, but the time that I had, I didn't know that much about your background. I always thought since you run such a tight ship, there was probably a drill sergeant that trained you. But that's good. That's good. Gonna miss you, and thank you so much for how you helped me along. I hope that in your retirement, you've got some fond memories of this place, and you may even have some fertilizer, so if you find the land, you can use your ag degree. Okay.
Senator Severs-Gansert.
Thank you, Madam President. I too want to thank Claire Clift. When I think of the work that you do, you're steady, you're disciplined, you're thoughtful, you're kind. You've done an amazing job of selecting legislative assistants for me every single time. So if you think about the personnel that we have to hire every session, that's a process, and I appreciate all the work that you've done. I also appreciate that all of us stood and applauded for you till we knew you were uncomfortable, because we wanted you to know how much we appreciate you. That's just not like a little applause because we're, for anybody. It's because of all the work that you've done and how meaningful the work that you have done, and how you treat us with respect, and you make sure that decorum is followed and the process is followed. We just can't say enough about you, and we appreciate you as a leader, but also as a person, and the way that you come to your job and the way that you help all of us. So thank you.
Senator Hammond.
Thank you, Madam President. Claire Bear. What can I say? I often say to people, life is made up of a lot of moments, right? It's a string of moments, things that you try to remember, moments that you try to capture in your own mind, and that way you can recall them and remember them when you need them. I was there in the room when the decision was made to bring you back. Here I am and the room when you're leaving us. But along the way, we've had a lot of good moments. I was told that you're a person who likes structure, rules, parliamentary all the way. And I'm the person who likes to follow rules. I like structure, and I'm going to obey everything you ever say. I don't like to joke very often. But when I do, I like to make sure you're laughing in the end for two reasons. One, I like to see that smile, and two, I just want to make sure you're not upset with me. We've had some good memories. I've startled you a few times. We've coordinated our wardrobe from day to day. I'm going to miss you. I appreciate you, who you are, and this is a memory I'll put away for later on. Thank you.
Senator Pickard.
Thank you, Madam President. I have very little to add that hasn't already been said. But I appreciate particularly your stalwart nature to your role, particularly as that relates to your evident respect for this institution, no matter who is sitting in these chairs. And I wish I could repeat everything that has been said because I agree with all of it. You've been an immense help to us personally, to us as an institution, and to us as people. I wish I weren't so emotional, naturally, but I think it speaks to how we all feel about you as a person and how much you mean to all of us. So thank you for your service.
Senator Hardy.
Thank you, Madam President. So, Claire, the adroit personal and professional demeanor that you have and the distinction that you have in my life of having corrected me more in public than my wife. Thanks for ringing the bell, and I got away with it once. And calling us to put aside our differences and our animosities and to use our own professional behaviors and attitudes. May God bless you. I hope you enjoy Laughlin still. Thank you.
Well, I think it's obvious, Madam Secretary, that if we think as a body that we need to be a higher version of ourselves, we have to channel our inner Claire Clift. You're pretty amazing. That was amazing. Yeah. Very great.
Thank you all so much. Thank you for the privilege and the honor to serve with you. It's been a highlight of my professional career, but also a highlight of my personal experiences being here with you all. This is a really good chamber of senators. I feel very blessed to be here in my last session with all of you. I think that I feel an immense respect from you, not only to me, but to the Senate, which I so very much appreciate. And I can't do this without the wonderful staff that we have. throughout the years. And also, you may have learned from me, but I've learned so much from you as well. So I move forward on a new adventure, but understand that you all will be enjoying a new adventure yourselves, not only after session, but when you come back to the next session with someone who's fully capable of guiding you in the future. And I hope that I have left you in the Senate with a really good foundation to move forward to succeed. But I really, really appreciate this honor, and I'm going to miss all of you.
Senator Cannizzaro.
Thank you, Madam President. With that, I would move that the Senate stand in recess until the call of the chair.
Thank you. You have heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. We are in recess.